Hey guys, what's up? This is Dingo Crikey here with another commentary video. This time I'm going to be doing an episode review for Transformers Robots in Disguise. If you are interested in more news and commentary on Transformers Robots in Disguise, the Transformers Generations toy line, or Transformers 5, then you can check out my playlist and channel where you can also find over 20 of my Transformers stop motion videos, some of which are previewed here. First off, some channel updates. I know it's been a long time since my last video, and I didn't even get to reviewing episode 3 of Robots in Disguise. I do plan to go back and do a review of that episode, along with more Transformers commentary videos. Now, I can't guarantee 2 commentary videos every week for the rest of April. However, recently, I have been spending a lot of time coming up with a schedule for May and the following months, basically where I'll have a routine of different videos I upload, preferably more than 2 a week, be putting out a lot of videos a week, and focus on some consistent themes weekly. Other than that, there is some other internet stuff I would like to get to, and in YouTube in particular, I've been looking into Transformers stop motion videos more. So I don't want to get anyone too excited, but you can kind of keep a lookout for any news I might be giving on potential future Transformers stop motion projects. So in the future months, there should be a lot of videos, but for the rest of April, not a ton. You could still expect weekly reviews of the Transformers Robots in Disguise episodes, though, unless I lose my voice, die, get abducted by aliens, something like that. Anyways, on to the review. Episode 4 was pretty good overall. Highly emphasizing overall, as there definitely were some problems with the series, but on a broad scope, it's no longer like the first 2 episodes were, where I was kind of getting a feel for the show, and I'm sure a lot of people were. I feel like I know what the show's going to be like now, at least for the most part, and it's kind of just adapting to that and forming opinions. The bickering characters, the fast pacing, the lighter tone of the show, more simplistic plots. It seems like that's what we're going to be getting, and it's kind of just looking at the show through that scope now. With that in mind, the plot of the episode on a very base level is pretty simplistic. There are more Decepticons on the loose, and the Autobots have to hunt down and detain them. But then we obviously have the more character-driven side of the plot, which deals with Fixit basically feeling inadequate, and then we have the stuff dealing with Russell. But going back to the basics of the plot, we have this character called Chop Shop as the main villain. We do have those scenes with Bisk in the beginning, those ones that were constantly advertised before the show's release, and though I've already seen those, I still enjoyed those scenes. I thought they were a pretty good way to open up the episode, though they really didn't have much to do with the rest of the story, so maybe that's a little bit of a drawback. It was just kind of action to pull the viewer in. But with the main story dealing with Chop Shop, him needing the fuel and going into a military base and all of that stuff, I thought that was pretty cool. It's nothing too original. It really feels like stuff we would see in Transformers Prime, or maybe even G1, so I think we're kind of used to it at this point, but nevertheless, it wasn't bad. And we find out he wants to use these resources so he can take off in a ship and go into outer space. I was kind of curious as to how he manufactured this. I mean, they really didn't explain it. It's just, oh, he has a ship, and for some reason it's really dangerous if he gets into space. I mean, I guess they're the biggest Decepticon criminals, but that felt a little contrived to me. Still, that overall plot, I thought it was pretty cool. Once again, basic, but not bad. Then we have the thing going on with Fixit, basically him feeling like he's useless to the team. He wants to get in the action a little bit, and it's kind of a predictable plot line. We see this happen a lot in kids shows, at least I have, especially having it that by the end of the episode he realizes, you know, this thing isn't cut out for me and I'm happy with my position. All that said, I did enjoy this plot. So far, I do really like Fixit's character outside of all of the glitches in his speech. He's just so endearing. When he's sitting in the car with Denny and he's like, oh, you know, this is fun. We should pretend we're humans more often. Oh, it's just like he bounces back and forth so easily from being paranoid and overreacting to being like overly gleeful about trying out new things. But then when things go a little bit wrong, he freaks out. And I really like him. He's kind of relatable, actually. I'm surprised by how cool his character is. And then obviously we have him eventually being attached to Chop Shop when he can't get his other limb. He uses Fixit. Initially, I didn't see that coming. I thought he was just going to go without his limb for a little while, or that the other part of him was just going to break free from Strong Arm and combined. So seeing Chop Shot using Fixit to take down the Autobots was really cool, lots of fun, and also the action scenes are pretty good in this show. I don't know how everyone feels about them, but right now I really enjoy them. They kind of remind me of the action in the original Teen Titans show, and that's obviously pretty cool. And then Fixit using his willpower to ultimately assist in the defeat of Chop Shot. That was kind of cool. Once again, feels like a kind of overdone story, and if you just believe you can do this. It's really overdone, but with the way the show handles it and the characters, it's not all that bad. But then we have the part of the story that deals with Russell. And this is where the bad from the episode comes. So once again, we have a really overdone plot line, but one that isn't even good to begin with. It's, the awkward kid tries to get involved with what other kids are doing because he's such an uncontent brat. They'll give him a little bit leeway. His dad's really annoying. And he honestly does suck at sports, and he's like, oh, I can't fit in. I hate everything. But there's this one girl who reaches out to him, and of course there's the little jokes because he has to hide the fact that he knows giant alien robots, and by the end of the episode, everything is cool. This story was so annoying, so predictably awful. Russell's being an annoying brat as usual, and then you have the whole little building romance between him and Henrietta or Hank. She's also not a likable character. About the only thing I liked with her is when she thinks Grimlock's a big statue of a dinosaur. That was kind of funny. But basically, we have this younger girl who wants to be like all the boys, but still wears makeup, jewelry, has long hair, because if she didn't have all of those things, I guess she wouldn't fit the bill for a love interest for Russell. And then, of course, she's the only one from this group that has a soft spot for Russell. Outside of making her character different, I would have preferred them doing something else as well, like maybe have one of those guys who's missing some of his teeth bully Russell a little bit, but then for whatever reason, they get to talking and maybe they're more similar than they originally would have thought. You could have this guy bully him a little bit, but then always have his back in the end. Something like that, I wouldn't mind them doing it. They kind of did it in Armada with Billy and Fred, but it definitely seems better than what it looks like we'll be getting. So on that side of the story, I really, really did not like it. But the Fixit stuff, the stuff dealing with Chop Shot, all of that was pretty cool, and I think I could say it makes the plot of the episode decent. As for the characters, obviously Fixit, Russell, and Chop Shot were all highlighted in this episode, but the other characters still did get focus, which is definitely cool. Sideswipe is funny as usual, really liking his character so far. Strongarm is her by-the-book self, and she can get a little overbearing with that, but still, I like her overall. Talked about Fixit, Russell. Grimlock had some moments where I didn't like him quite as much, mainly when he's dealing with Russell. I guess that shouldn't come as a surprise, though, but his whole lecture to him as, oh, she wants to be your friend and this kind of stuff, it not only felt corny, but it felt out of character for Grimlock. Basically, he became a plot device. A plot device for a bad plot. Other than that, Grimlock's still cool, liking his character more as I watch it. Then we have Chop Shop. He was an entertaining villain, kind of sad to see him go too soon, but for one episode he served a good purpose. Really gave me Teen Titans vibe. I don't know if it was his whole feature of combining from the individual insects or that his voice sounded so much like Mad Mod's. But speaking of the individual insects, I wasn't sure how crazy I was about that, just because I was wondering, are they all one consciousness? Are they all minions? Does his main consciousness just go to whichever one is the head? That just kind of bothered me. Also, none of his combiners look different. As far as I could tell, they all looked exactly the same. If they're going to do full-blown combiners later on, they might not want to introduce something so complex early in the series. And the way it was done, it didn't look horrible. I liked the way the insects moved around when they're crawling up on buildings, using themselves as ladders. His combined robot form was a unique looking design. It's sad to say that we probably won't get a figure picture of him, though I would like to see one. And it's always cool to see them bring back a name like Chop Shop that we don't really get that often. Even though he wasn't an incredibly unique character, he was kind of what you would expect for one episode Decepticon. But I definitely liked him a lot better than Underbite. Much more likable character, and I preferred the voice. I know Underbite had his own personality, but the southern accent was a little hard to handle. And we did see that one of Chop Shop's minions, or parts, managed an escape, so I'll be curious to see whether he joins up with Steeljaw or if they just bring him back in the future like they did with some of Transformers Animated's minor villains. I definitely think it's nice that they left that door open. So to wrap things up, by the end of episode 4, I am starting to like the show more. The characters can get a little repetitive. They definitely feel like they're directed towards a younger audience, but I can enjoy them. The voice acting's great. The action is really cool. The effects definitely aren't spot on. They aren't as dazzling as they were in Transformers Prime. As far as the plot, it's a standalone episode. It doesn't seem like it's going to have a whole lot to deal with the rest of the plot, though. You know, Fixit got development, I guess Russell did. And as far as the stories within this episode, the main one, anything dealing with the Transformers, I liked it. There was a lot of humor in there. I love Fixit, but as far as the Russell stuff, you know my opinions on it. Hated it. Really, really bad. So with that said, I would like to give this episode a 7 out of 10 or higher, but the Russell stuff brings it down to maybe like a 6.5. And don't get me wrong, I did like this episode, but the human plot lines, which we're probably going to see in this series, I mean, we see it all the time in Transformers. Beast Machines and Beast Wars were some of the few where we really got to avoid that. But it looks like in this show they are really going to drag them down. In my opinion, as much as I don't like Transformers Energon, it was really one of the few shows where I actually cared about some of the human plot lines. It seems like they're really going to drag this show down, but I guess we'll have to see. So, that's all I have to say about this episode. You guys can leave your thoughts in the comment section below. What are you thinking of Robots in Disguise at this point? Did you kind of share my opinions about this episode, with the Transformer stuff being cool, but the human interactions being horrible? Are you intrigued enough about the series at this point to start making predictions of what we might see later on down the road? Also, feel free to drop off any topic suggestions you might have. They could pertain to Transformers Robots in Disguise, Transformers 5, or just general Transformers discussion topics. And though I can't promise a ton of videos for the rest of this month, you can expect to see more. In the meantime, you could check out my previous Transformers commentary videos along with my Transformers stop motion videos. That's it for this one. Thanks for watching, stay tuned, and have a good one, guys.